I'm Maddie Jo and I'm born and raised in Durango, Colorado.
What is your favorite animal?
Pig.
Nice. Nice.
I think Maddie was a funny kid. She was always doing jokes on us.
If you pissed her off, she would strike back. She poked a kid in the arm with a pencil.
When Maddie Jo was 6, she was determined she was going to do the whole white rim. A 100-mile dirt loop in Canyonlands National Park.
And the white rim's just like magical. So that really instilled like a love for riding in me.
She won states as a sophomore. She won the 2018 USA National Cross Country Mountain Bike Championships, and then she won the 2019 Cross Country and Short Track National Championships. She was Colorado's Mountain Bike Sportswoman of the Year.
For the 2019 World Champs, it would be my second World Champs. The night before the race, the director was like, you know, Maddie, you could win this. I don't think I'd ever really put that in my head. The next morning, I was like, I'm gonna go for it. I went out of the start gate super hard. I think I was in the top 3 going into the first climb. And then I didn't remember my crash. I remember things going just like black and being like, I don't know what's happening, but that was not good. And I sat up and people were like, are you okay? And I was like, no. I can't pull out now. So I just kept racing. With hindsight, we know that was a very bad idea. And I didn't really put things together until I was going up one of the main climbs. And suddenly it was like the world just faded away. And all I could do or hear or see was noises. Nothing else was happening. It was just me consumed by noise. And at that moment I was like, I must have a concussion. And I came through the finish line and just like fell down on the ground crying. The moment I crashed, my life just sort of changed in like the snap of a fingers. Like I kept racing, which means I kept hitting my head. So now I had this brain that was swollen from the first injury. Constantly I would just crash and the swelling was just increasing and increasing. Whereas if I had just pulled out of that race, I probably would have been okay. At one point I woke up and couldn't move my neck. The coming days and weeks happened. I just like felt more and more off. I remember playing a board game one night and I rolled the dice and I went to add them and I didn't know how to add the dice. Oh my God, something is way more wrong than I realized.
She's no longer with her social circle. Like the race circuit's going on and she's not part of it. And just seeing like her dream just got pulled out from under her. Lost the ability to drive, couldn't write, she couldn't think, she couldn't find words.
I think before my injury, I took school for granted. I thought it was like the easiest thing you can do. I felt really good there, I felt really safe there, and then suddenly I didn't feel any of that there. I just felt like this ant walking through a hall of elephants. I went from like Calc 3 to not knowing how to add numbers. I remember being in these classrooms just feeling like a complete ghost. I had been to a concussion specialist, and there they told me that all concussions heal in 2 weeks, and therefore I didn't have one. My brain was fully healed, and I really just had depression and anxiety, which had never been a part of my life before the injury. I'd say living with a brain injury is just a very lonely and kind of like terrifying journey. Because of where we are with medicine, they didn't really know how to help. How can I keep going when nobody knows if I'm gonna get better?
Knowing that it's a long road, part of my job is just to keep track of where Maddie was and where she is now. We meet weekly so she can be angry or frustrated or depressed or happy about something. The amount of energy it takes to live when you're in the throes of a concussion is just astronomical. And Maddie's super used to just bouncing back from any kind of physical thing. People with concussions can be impulsive. People with concussions can really oscillate hard emotionally. Your mood swing isn't abnormal.
All these doctors were telling me I was fine, despite the fact that like I so was not fine and I knew it. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna be fine and I'm gonna get back to life and the things I was doing. So my coach Chad and I decided we needed like something to work towards. I'm very goal oriented, and we came up with this Try the Brain event. And I think the swimming came about because we were just like out paddleboarding on the lake one day, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna swim back. And so I jumped in the water and I just flailed. And suddenly it was like just this realization of, oh my gosh, I have no idea how to swim anymore.
And she was a swim racer, so that made no sense. So we retrained her how to swim at like Night Horse. And part of her triathlon was she felt if she could swim across the lake at Night Horse, that would be successful evidence that she had overcome that inability.
And then the next leg came about because I wanted to sort of get through some of the like PTSD from my crash that came about where I crashed in Mont St. Anne on the rocks. Rocky terrain and slippery terrain after that kind of became like a freaky thing for me. And that would kind of be like another step forward in my recovery. I'm not gonna let these rocks that did this giant injury to me stop me. And then once you're swimming and biking, you sort of just have to add running. And originally it was gonna be just like a self-challenge that Chad and I were gonna do. The day I went out for the triathlon, there were all these people that I knew, people I didn't know, a bunch of other people with brain injuries came out to do either all of it or just segments. For that one day we could put aside our limitations and just have fun and go out and do something big and hard together. There was like an amazing moment of just like support and community. So then from there we kind of just made it a yearly thing in the hopes of raising awareness and community for people with brain injuries. I've also made it more chill this year to make it more inclusive. It started out as just like this really hard challenge for myself, and then it morphed into other people doing it. But it kind of got to the point where it was like so intense, people didn't really want to show up. I think last year it got to a point where like I couldn't keep up, and I was like, who created this thing?
Let's rock and roll, Try the Brain, episode 4.
That's a lot harder than bike racing. Man.
Now it's time to bike. Since the first year of the triathlon, it's pretty much gotten bigger every year since. So now the triathlon is a lot more about bringing out the community and including as many people as we can. This event is gaining traction. People are coming out, and we're spreading the word to more and more people about brain injuries. The hardest part of the concussion, I think for me, is the not knowing. We don't know if you're gonna heal. We don't know what's really wrong. We don't know how to heal you. I've been to clinics who have just like denied my injury, who have said like I'm making it up. So you're just kind of like waking up every day with these symptoms without any like knowledge of when it's gonna get better. There was one clinic I went to and they did fMRIs, and that was kind of amazing because it was the first time in, I think it was like 2 years, that somebody had like validated my injury and been like, yes, you're hurt. And they even have like a scale they can put you on, and I was like deep in the red on that scale. Somebody can see that there is an injury behind my eyes and my skull, and I'm telling everybody there is.
Yeah, regular MRI is a static picture of your brain. fMRI, you're in the machine and you're doing different cognitive tasks, and we're able to really map out how your brain is activating and how it's firing. A concussion can last years and years and decades. Some concussions can actually heal and recover in a matter of weeks. Post-concussion syndrome, or symptoms that last past the 3 to 6 month mark, actually can occur in 35 to 75% of patients that are concussed. And so the patients that I see are typically patients that have been struggling for years and sometimes decades. When all the scans end up looking normal, there's no other way to explain it, I guess, other than it's psychological. Concussions are going to look normal on imaging. Taking an antidepressant isn't going to fix this. I feel like the primary issue is a traumatic brain injury that is then causing someone to have worry and frustration and anxiety and depression. Suicidality is very strongly tied to head injury. The more awareness we have, the more people that are willing to tell their story and not be ashamed of it and willing to help other people learn from their story, that is really the only way that we're going to get this world as a whole to understand it and to destigmatize this.
And I did try to go to college, but after like a couple months had to drop out because it all just became too much, and my brain couldn't like process all that information. I'm not a very patient or calm person, so I like needed something I could do. The ski patrol had a tryouts, and all sorts of friends and family were texting me the tryouts, like, you should go do this, you should go do this. And I was like, no way. I'm not gonna be a ski patrol. And then I went, and it was super fun, and I was like, okay, maybe I am gonna be a ski patrol. And I think it was just a way for me to, I don't know, maybe put my injury aside, and instead of being the person who was always getting help and always at the doctor's office, I could finally be the one providing help to someone else in need. And I think it gave me the first bit of like empowerment since my injury. Being a patroller is really hard on a brain injury. You get home and all you can do is sleep. But because it's so invisible, nobody knows what it takes behind the scenes. I'd say if you have a brain injury or a concussion, the best advice I could give would be you just really have to lean on your community. Reach out to others with brain injuries. It's kind of like a very scattered world and an unclear path of what you're supposed to do. And keep speaking up. Listen to yourself and what your brain is telling you.